Welcome back, Functional Bodybuilders, to your favorite podcast, the Look Good Move Up podcast. Yes, we're back in studio. We're back online, video-wise. So if you're listening to us and you want to go check us out, you know, there's going to be some video podcast episodes out there in the world, I think. Or at least we have cameras rolling right now, so who knows what's going to happen with that. But
yeah, no, we'll put these up on the Functional Bodybuilding YouTube channel.
Heck yeah. Sati, do you want to share a highlight from the weekend?
Let's see. Highlight from the weekend. I went ham on my adductors and abductors.
How are they feeling today?
Quite sore. Oh, you know what my highlight was? I have an even better one. I signed up my baby for his first gym membership.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where at?
Yeah. So he's going to train with me here, obviously, on the weekend. But after school, we just got him a membership to the little Fairfax gym.
Nice.
So he can go train with his buddies after school.
Oh,
he's 15.
awesome.
And just we're so happy to be living where we are because everything's within walking distance. So he can walk to school, walk to the gym, walk home, walk to his dad's. So yeah, he's loving life.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it. And he's feeling better. Was he sick last week?
He was super sick, but
sick.
it only lasted a day or so. So fortunately, blew over, and nobody else got it.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. I went and got in the ocean yesterday. We went to the beach, and I put on a wetsuit and went boogie boarding, and that's the first time I've really thrashed around in the ocean since, I gotta say, like the CrossFit days when I was like doing open water swimming, jumping out in the waves,
not a good time.
which was not a good time for your boy over here. But yesterday was a good time. I mean, I got thrashed around a bit, but
which beach did you go to?
We went to Stinson Beach, and it was like, for people that don't know, Stinson Beach is kind of like the main beach
beautiful.
along the Marin County coastline, and you know, Northern California beaches are not like Southern California beaches that people think of when they think of California beaches. Yeah. It's not like, you know, hot, warm water. It's like
freezing.
It's usually like breezy and cold, and
can be
the
rocky,
water's freezing.
windy.
But yesterday was one of like probably the top days at Stinson. It was like warm enough that didn't like need to have a sweatshirt on or something.
Yeah.
And the water wasn't like terribly cold. Like in a wetsuit, I was super comfortable. So anyway, I left feeling like, man, we could do this again.
That's Marquez's favorite thing to do.
Is it?
Yeah. He'll go out there and boogie board for like just hours and hours and hours. Like you have to drag him back in.
It's super fun. And then we went over to my mom's house to have dinner with family. And I like got there, and like this was like an hour, 2 hours after we had been in the ocean. I like bent over to like give my niece a hug, and just like the whole ocean just fell out of my nose. Like there was like a full stream of ocean water, and I was like, "What is that?" Like it's been a long time since I've experienced that. So drained whatever sinus was holding on to, you know, the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
So anyway, you have you had a great idea for a topic today, and if you can't see, if you're listening, Sachi is holding.
I've got the latest issue of Men's Health.
The latest issue of Men's Health.
I'm a subscriber. I love Men's Health. I like to know what the people are experiencing when it comes to.
Who's that on the cover? Because I don't know.
It's Austin Butler. Did you see Elvis?
No.
He was so incredible in Elvis. I haven't seen his latest movies because I'm not a super movie person, but he was just like, he became Elvis. He had to un-Elvis himself after the movie because he was so Elvis.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
He looked jacked. I mean, he's not on there for being Elvis. He's on there for being fit.
For his next role.
I guess it's just, Elvis was not the most fit, apparently.
Yeah. Well, while we're on the topic of Austin Butler, maybe we can jump into this one. So what I've done is I have bookmarked different articles in Men's Health, and I want to get, the Marcus Philly take on these. Like, is this...
We'll call it the functional bodybuilding
The functional bodybuilding take.
Sati's going to have some takes, too.
I might have some hot takes, too. But yeah, just like, is the most popular, I would say, men's fitness magazine, how does that line up to your beliefs on different things?
And just for context, actually, it wasn't Men's Health. I had Flex Magazine and Men's Fitness. I had subscriptions to those when I was younger. Got a lot of my early years exposure to fitness through that. I used to cut off the covers and put them up on my wall.
Ooh.
So I had like 2 to 3 years of issues up on my wall of like Ronnie Coleman, Dexter Jackson, Jay Cutler,
This is such a classic teenage boy
It was,
activity. I love it.
I had them on my college wall too, which I think was like weird when like people would come over and be like, "Whoa, what do you got?
Why do you have all these like naked guys on your wall?"
Yeah, totally.
Nice.
Totally.
All right, well, let's jump right in. The first little tidbit here is that so Austin Butler gets like super into his movie prep roles.
Yeah.
And so he's saying that after he's filming, he has a really hard time like getting home and going to sleep after. And so he got this protocol from Tom Hardy. And after shooting all night, so he's saying there's two different protocols here. The first one is he used to, try to put on a movie and relax. And now this time he goes to the gym, gets on a treadmill, sets it on a steep incline and walks on it for half an hour before hitting the sauna. After a cold shower, he sleeps deeply. So your take on, nighttime winding down protocols, especially after you've had like a highly activated type of day. And then Tom Hardy's protocol is putting on a weighted vest, doing 1,000 box jumps.
That's
to wind down. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
You didn't see my facial expression there, but it was kind of like, wait, what?
Wait, those two things are very different.
Wait, he gave Austin a decent recommendation, and then on his end, he's over there doing 1,000 box jumps.
Yeah, it's unclear because it says he borrowed this sauna protocol, like steep incline sauna cold shower protocol from Tom Hardy. And then it says after shooting all night, Hardy would go home, put on a weighted vest and do 1,000 box jumps.
Maybe that was like Hardy's like protocol before he wised up and got on the incline treadmill sauna
I think the
protocol.
incline treadmill sauna. But how do you recommend winding down after like a highly, stressful mind activated day?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, well, the recommendations for sleep protocols and how to get yourself into a restful parasympathetic state. So sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system is like part of your autonomic nervous system, meaning that these things get activated without your control over them.
Yeah.
That's like the historical kind of thinking around your brain. We have like consciousness, and then we have like autonomic functions that just happen in the background all the time. Like you don't have to think about breathing because your nervous system just breathes for you.
Sure.
You can be in fight or flight, or you can be rest digest. That's sympathetic versus parasympathetic. And you can't really fall asleep when you're in sympathetic fight or flight stage by design. You don't want to be running from, a predator or be in like a life or death situation and be sleepy. So we kind of have a built-in mechanism for that. But if you've been mentally activated, and I know this from sports that I played where we would play at night. So grid league, CrossFit, even night games when I was in high school and college. You finish at 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m., maybe even later sometimes. Not only have you just been physically ramped up, but your nervous system, your whole body is ramped up because you've just been playing this very intense physical activity. It was always very difficult to wind down.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a protocol back then. And oftentimes we'd finish a match and we'd go right to a hotel, and we're actually on the way to the hotel, we would get dinner, and then it's like back to the hotel, and there's lots of buzz around the team. Let's say we won a match and it was an exciting thing. People want to celebrate. It was always very difficult to sleep. And I didn't have, I just would remember like my protocol was just like, go lay in bed, just wired and just staring at the ceiling and just being like, why can't I fall asleep? Why can't I fall asleep? Right. And usually what we're trying to create is rhythm and habit and patterns in our life so that come 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or 9:30 p.m., like whenever your normal downtime is, your body just knows to go into that parasympathetic restful state, and it's programmed into your circadian biology. Like we are rhythmic creatures. We just get into these routines. Now, Tom Hardy or this guy, Austin, they may have that when they're not working, but then when they're on set, and then the set, it's like studio dollars, millions of dollars to rent the studio out. We have it until 10 p.m. We got to maximize our time. We got to do 50 takes. It's a fight scene. It's whatever, right. They don't have control over that. I deal with this. I've dealt with this with athletes that I've coached. I coached a WWE, wrestler for a number of years. She'd be on camera performing until 10 p.m. that's a high, and it was always hard to wind down. In some instances, these athletes would resort to alcohol, even though alcohol is like, that's not good for your, as an athlete, but she would drink a lot of wine because it was like the only way to get her nervous system to calm down.
Yeah.
But that is super problematic in its own right. So what is he doing? He's walking on a treadmill. He's taking a sauna and then a cold plunge. What is happening here that's good? So intense exercise can ramp you up and activate sympathetic nervous system drive. So an incline treadmill walk, hopefully for him, it's not a high intensity activity. It's enough to get him to do one important thing, which is breathe. So breath and connecting to your breath is it's a very physiological, proven method to control your nervous system state. So what I said was like, parasympathetic, sympathetic, autonomic, or automatic nervous system was very much thought of as something we can't control. But over the years, yogis, people that do breathing like Wim Hof, cold exposure, hot exposure, they've learned ways that you can manipulate your environment and and activate your body in ways that then have a secondary impact on your nervous system. So by breathing, certain types of breathing can help calm your nervous system down. So if he's using the treadmill to basically get into, like, because treadmill walking, very rhythmic. It's kind of one steady state thing. He's not going and doing a circuit with a bunch of different exercises where he's doing burpees and kettlebell swings. He's just walking, which gets you into a cadence of breathing, and sweating. And that can be a way to regulate the nervous system, just breathing, going for a walk. If he's doing it at a high intensity level, that could be actually in ways detrimental. So like, I wouldn't recommend, like, you're at the end of a busy day, go on underneath the fluorescent lights, turn on, a UFC fight and just do HIIT intervals on your bike. Probably not the best way. But it is getting him to breathe. It is getting him in a flow state. And then that is turning into the next protocol, which is sauna. So sauna also, another way to, it's actually a nighttime sauna is a way to indirectly decrease core body temperature. Very important. When your body temperature is very hot, going to bed is very hard to fall asleep. If you're in a sympathetic state, you guys have likely experienced this where you're like really activated, there's a stressful thing happening, you start sweating, like your body is just getting hot, right? That's to help facilitate something that's about to happen. Going to bed at night, you want to be cool. So going into a sauna, you think is counterproductive. It's like, oh, that's going to get me hot. But what actually ends up happening is you go into a hot environment, and what your body does is it starts to increase blood flow to the periphery to your skin, because it's got to sweat. It's got to sweat out. It's got to cool you off. It starts to activate a lot of sweat. If you activate a lot of sweat, the moment you step out of the sauna, now your whole core temperature regulation system is really activated and it's starting to cool you down. Plus he does a quick cold plunge. So the combination of those two things is going to get his core body temperature to actually drop. On top of breathing and the cadence of breathing, both of those things can help regulate nervous system down and get his core body temperature to drop so he's ready for bed. So if I were going to just, if he needs to do if the sweat, if the physical outlet to move some of the energy that he has, because he's like, when you're just sitting there and you have all this like pent up energy and it's just sitting in you, getting in, moving it through something steady state is great. Yeah. So he does that. Then he does the core temperature regulation. And then on top of that, I would just have him do a breathing protocol, like a meditative breathing protocol, which is like, a box breathing or, deep inhales through the nose, exhales through the mouth, rhythmically without pausing for like 3 to 5 minutes. And that has a huge impact on just getting the nervous system to calm down. And then you fall asleep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Next up, we are going to do lowering your LDL cholesterol.
Ooh, let's go.
Yeah. So this is just a little tidbit about, here's how some things they recommend. There's like your statins,
Yep.
your GLP-1s. They
Yep.
are on the bubble on, some emerging drugs that show promise. And then,
Okay.
there's a couple tidbits in here about, how people have lowered their LDL naturally through exercise and, joining a support group after a heart attack and that type of thing. So what do you recommend for clients who need to lower their LDL, and what's your take on cholesterol?
So what's interesting is that like I have measured my blood for probably the last 10 years annually, if not twice annually. So I've had a lot of data points that have helped me to understand, okay, well, how is my body responding? And I recommend this first and foremost for everybody. You should be tracking these things annually, whether you are in a health optimizing state or if you're not the healthiest you've ever been. Like, this should just be baseline for every human being that has access to this, because without measurement, you could run into a situation in your life where you have a health complication, or you decide that you want to enhance some part of yourself, and therefore you're going to go and, try a new protocol. And as part of that protocol, you got to get blood work. If you get new blood work, the first time you get blood work, there's going to likely be something that's off from what is considered normal. Many people go and, yes, they have normal blood work. The first time they've gotten it in 20 years, everything looks good. But if you're in the majority where something shows up as not, in the normal range, and you have no context for years past of like what was normal for you 5 years ago, what was normal for you 10 years ago, it can be difficult to like really make sense of it and contextualize, like, is this a problem? Is this my normal? Have I always been here? And this happens for men, a lot of men, as they get towards 40, they go get their testosterone checked for the first time and they see a number and they freak out and they're like, I got to go on testosterone replacement therapy. And the reality is that like their numbers have been maybe at that point for 5 years. And 5 years ago they had no symptoms, but today they have symptoms and they want to blame it on the one number that's off on their blood work.
Right.
Same could be true for cholesterol. Although with cholesterol, I've done most of my reading and most of my alignment with Dr. Peter Attia and his group. So they have looked very extensively at as many data points and as much research is out there on LDL specifically, and one of the apolipoproteins that is associated with LDL. And given some they take a very, very hard stance on this is a blood marker that should be controlled aggressively, because it is the most correlative to a lot of disease or health risk and mortality risk, so death. And they take an aggressive stance where they want to reduce LDL and the apolipoprotein B, or ApoB, which is one that shows up on the surface of LDL particles in your body. The higher concentration of ApoB, the higher risk you are of cardiovascular disease. And so they take a very aggressive stance to get this down. Now, there's diet, exercise, and sleep. Those are your first foundational pieces to improve that. I'll talk a little bit about how I've approached it myself and what I see other people doing, but know that everybody responds to diet, exercise slightly differently. There are genetic components that mean that you can or cannot eat certain groups of food, or you should be more focused on certain macronutrient profiles to optimize this. Some people can get away with eating a relatively high-fat diet and have no issue with their LDL. Other people cannot. So this is why having routine blood markers and actually tracking your nutrition can be really impactful on your long-term health, and for you to have control over whether you have high cardiovascular risk or not.
Yeah.
Then the next layer is, of course, drugs and medication. There are drugs that their specific action is to lower cholesterol in the body. And it does so by interacting with the physiological machinery inside of our cells that make cholesterol. So without going into the science or going deep on it, just surface level, LDL are low density lipoproteins. Okay. LDL, low density lipoproteins. Nowhere in there does it say cholesterol. LDL is a lipoprotein, means it's a combination of fat and protein. Cholesterol gets packaged into they're little balls in your body. You have HDL, you have LDL, you have VLDL, different sizes of these things. But your body and your liver specifically is what makes these things. So you eat stuff. You might eat cholesterol, you might eat fat, you might eat protein, you might eat carbs, whatever. Your body is in control of packaging up LDL or lipoproteins and sending them out into your bloodstream to go and perform different actions, or go to fat cells or go to muscle cells and just deliver nutrients. If your body's packaging plant is packaging up too much LDL and not enough HDL, that's a sign that you have some metabolic dysfunction. And the root cause is not that, specifically that you're eating too much cholesterol. It's that your packaging processing plant is messed up. I think there was many years where people wanted to say if you eat too much cholesterol, you're going to have high blood cholesterol. That, for the most part, has been debunked, right? It's not necessarily the cholesterol in your diet that creates high cholesterol in your blood. It's the packaging plant is off, and the packaging plant becomes off when you have poor metabolic health. That can be from really a number of things, but overconsumption of calories, not enough exercise, basically accumulating a lot of body fat in your body. That messes up how well you can package LDLs. Same thing with drinking way too much alcohol.
Yeah.
People have fatty liver disease from drinking alcohol, or fatty liver disease from just eating way too many calories. Both impact how well you package this stuff. So there's people out there that don't necessarily overconsume food, but they overconsume alcohol, and they have terrible blood chemistries, cholesterol markers, LDLs, as a product of that. So the medications that are out there can impact that packaging machinery. Your diet can 100% impact that. How does your diet impact that? It impacts it generally by you get back into energy balance or an energy deficit. You lose a bunch of body fat. You get yourself back to normal weight or a healthy BMI, and all of those markers improve. Speaking of GLP-1s, why are those mentioned in this article? GLP-1s curb people's appetite. They make them consume less calories by making you feel full longer. So taking a GLP-1, and over the course of 6 to 12 months, you lose 30 or 40 pounds, that will ultimately make your packaging plant of lipoproteins function better. And it will help bring down LDL, which is one that is considered the bad cholesterol, in quotes, bring it down to a normal level as per Peter Attia's, kind of guidelines, which is a full analysis, meta-analysis of all the research that's out there. Statins, those work more specifically on the packaging process. Those are targeted at bringing LDLs down. I know that for Peter Attia's practice, he's very outspoken about how he prescribes statins to, I want to say the majority of his patients, even if they are not at dangerous levels of LDL. It's like, we have a drug. If you can tolerate the side effects, take this, because we want to get your blood lipids down as close to that of a child, because children do not have cardiovascular disease. Mm-hmm. So if we can suppress that as much as we can, and you tolerate the side effects, and we can do that through nutrition, exercise, and drugs, they're going to throw the full stack at you, because that has the highest likelihood of increasing longevity or age and decreasing mortality risk. I have considered going on a statin. However, and the reason being is that for a number of years measuring my blood, I always had borderline high LDL. but I was very active, healthy, and training very hard, and I generally ate good quality food.
Sure.
These were in the years of me not measuring my food. This was when I just ate and trained hard and did my thing. And I got lots of healthy, quality foods.
Yeah.
Then I went through a period of time where I started to measure my blood chemistries. Measure my food more specifically. And always was somebody who prioritized a lot of healthy fats, quote unquote healthy fats in my diet. Still ate plenty of carbohydrates to fuel my energy, and I ate protein. Measuring my food didn't change much about my LDL. Then I went through a season of exploring and experimenting with animal-based diet or more of a carnivore-style diet, where I ate a lot of fat, high protein, and moderate to low carbohydrates from a few specific sources. During that 6-month window, my LDL cholesterol and my ApoB went in the wrong direction in a high magnitude. And like my LDL went from in the 150s to like 400, and my ApoB went up to 299. These are scary numbers if presented to, a Peter Attia, group of physicians. And I was like, look, I'm eating high quality food. I'm sticking to all the things that the animal-based community, recommends. And I am eating 200 grams of fat plus a day, 100 plus of which was saturated fat. And when I started to connect with some other health practitioners, they're like, hey, we see that there's a group of people, and generally a lot of people do not tolerate high amounts of saturated fat like the amount I was taking in very well, and their cholesterol goes way up. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going the other direction. What are the things and levers that I pull in my diet? I lowered my saturated fat intake down to 30 grams or less per day. I was still eating about 70 to 80 grams of fat per day, but I lowered my saturated specifically. So I took out all the beef tallow that I was eating. I limited the number of whole egg yolks that I was eating. I took out all the raw cheeses I was eating. I took out all the butter I was eating every day. In addition, I made sure to prioritize a higher fiber diet. Fiber is another nutrient you can eat that lowers cholesterol. I won't go into really why, but it has to do with how you have to digest fiber and what it does. Your gallbladder spitting out a bunch of bile to help process it, and in bile is a bunch of cholesterol, so it just helps to remove some of that.
Yeah.
It's why eating oatmeal in the morning is something that physicians have told people with high cholesterol to do.
Yeah.
There's fiber in it, helps to lower cholesterol. So in the span of the next 6 months, after going from the worst blood markers I'd ever had, and by changing those two things fundamentally, more fiber, less saturated fat, I went to a high carbohydrate diet, over 400 grams per day. For the first time in my life, my ApoB dropped below, in my measurement history, dropped to a very healthy amount, around 60, so down almost 140 points.
Wow.
And my LDL almost dropped down to a total of like 100. So huge seismic shift.
Huge.
I didn't take any medication through that process.
Yep.
And I didn't change my training really, other than to remove some of the high intensity cardio that I was doing. And I was doing more walking and rucking and continue to resistance train. So those are the only changes I made. And I like to, not as like a prescriptive thing, but like, hey, I'm here to fix your LDL, because that's not my lane as a health and fitness professional. But it has made me more aware of when we guide people nutritionally, putting an emphasis on fiber is very important. I always recommend for every 1,000 calories that you eat in a day, try and get at least 15 grams of fiber. So if you're on a 2,000 calorie a day diet, aim for 30. If you're on a 3,000 calorie a day diet, aim for 45. I aim for a minimum of 70. That's my personal goal. And I achieve that through the various foods that we've talked about here, but, berries, avocados, beans, certain grains have plenty of fiber in them. Mm-hmm. And I'll even have some supplemental fiber that I might take either through a supplement or through like a high fiber, low carb tortilla wrap or something like that.
Yeah.
So those have been my approaches, and whether I ever really go the extra mile to explore what a statin would do for that, to be determined.
Yeah. So this kind of ties into this next one, which is, it's this article about the Maha movement and about how there's a lot of focus, which I think just sort of picks up certain nutrition trends that are coming more into popular culture at large, where this says, there's an anecdote about how they're sort of flocking to this little pop-up that Paul Saladino opened, which was like cooking everything in beef tallow. And everyone is like, I'm so grateful because like I have been able to eat out for years because I'm like afraid of seed oils. And this says that seed oil free certified product sales increased by 216% year over year from 2024 to 2025. So it's just interesting like how these trends go with like, oh, like beef tallow is good and like seed oil is bad. And
there's a creator on Instagram that I've been watching lately. I'm sure she's on a lot of different platforms, but she was providing some medical commentary on sort of the Maha movement and how it's coming up. And I'll admit that I haven't done enough like of my own investigation, but what she highlighted is that this is becoming this like, it seems to be a movement that is the message or the mission is stated as we're going to make America healthy again. But it from what I'm seeing, the goal is in order to make America healthy again, we are going to make the public distrustful of scientific research and people who are doing really important public health and medical research. And we're going to align with more of like the social media health influence. Yeah. Like, which I can understand. There's a lot of distrust of politics and policymakers overall.
Sure.
But organizations that are doing evidence-based research and looking at health scientifically, do they always get it right? No, but they continue to use they ground themselves in science to provide public health recommendations. And if that system breaks, which it seems there are people intent on trying to break that system because they feel like it has failed people, I think the key thing here is that in spite of all of this good work that public health people and scientists are doing, we're still getting unhealthy. And it's not because they have done a bad job. It is in spite of the great job that they continue to try and do. And that there are other fundamental issues that are going on in society that are making us be unhealthy, that are not about whether there's a seed oil in the diet or whether people are cooking with beef tallow. The vast majority of health issues are stemming from a more fundamental issue of people don't move enough and people overconsume. And, I have yet to see anything where somebody at healthy weight who moves and exercises has bad health outcomes because they ate a seed oil.
Right.
It's not what the data shows from what I have seen and the science-based community that I follow and learn from. So are there a lot of overweight people? Are there a lot of obese, unhealthy Americans that consume a lot of seed oils? Yes. Is the seed oil the problem, or is it this underlying fundamental energy imbalance that's happening? Everything tells me that it's more of the latter than the former.
Yeah.
And so, is there profit to be made in promoting beef tallow? Sure. Especially from an influencer who sells, products that are made from cows, like meat sticks and organ capsules and jars of tallow and right. It's, and that's not to say that he's like only out here to profit. Like Paul Saladino wants people to thrive. I believe that. I've had personal conversations with him where he took time out of his day to speak to me at a time that I was concerned about my health outcomes and I was unclear. And he's driven by wanting people to be better. And with that said, like, there's a lot of biases that are happening and a lot of things that make it difficult to discern, like, what is people's true motivation. But to like create this war against science and like science is terrible, starting from, and again, this is not a political statement and it's not a position on this at all, but this started back in COVID with vaccines, and it is now grown into all things, that is being talked about from the CDC and public policy, researchers, is just wrong, and we can't trust them. So let's trust, whoever's got a few million followers and is a doctor.
Yeah.
And that's just a very scary place to go for us, because I don't believe that helps. That ultimately doesn't help anybody. That just makes this a less, like, there's less oversight. There's fewer voices that get to direct everything. Not cool.
Yeah. All right. I have 2 more quick ones.
Okay.
All right. This one goes out to Nate, our media producer, because he's a Detroit Lions fan. So we are going to rate Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is a Detroit Lions wide receiver. We're going to rate his leg workout.
Let's roll.
Okay, what'd you do this leg workout? We got a leg extension for 70 reps, immediately into leg curls. It looks like a prone hamstring leg curl. And we got 70 reps focusing on flexing your hamstrings, then lowering slowly. Rest 90 seconds, then go back to the leg extensions for 4 sets.
So he's going to do
70 leg extensions.
280 reps?
Yeah. 140.
But I mean,
yeah. Well, yeah. But then he's got
4 sets
4
of that?
sets.
Got
yeah.
it. Okay. So
Okay.
that's a lot of.
Then we got back squat, 5 by 5, resting 90 seconds. Then 3 sets of leg presses, 10 reps per set. And on the third, start heavy, do as many as you can, lower the weight, and immediately do 4 more reps. Lower the weight and immediately do 3 more reps. So drop sets.
So he's got the leg extension, hamstring curl, right into back squats, right into leg press.
Yeah.
That's the workout. That's the leg workout.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. Well, I mean, hard to go wrong with those 4 exercises. They kind of hit a lot. I think as an athlete, somebody who's playing a ball sport, who's like being paid millions of dollars to be like, you want to pick exercises that are really safe. So he's using 3 machines out of 4 exercises, probably a good move. It's like, probably don't want to have him doing snatches, like something might go wrong. And it's like strength conditioning coach telling the GM, like, hey, I just injured your, multi-million-dollar starting player. Not a good move.
Yeah.
Which would, again, make me wonder, like, is even back squat the best exercise? Like, if he's been back squatting forever and has really good mechanics, then maybe it's fine. But maybe there's even a better option for that, exercise to keep him safer and then is this leg workout happening in season, or is this like off season workout? In season workouts like are probably low priority. Like, you got to keep them lifting some weights, but if this is an off season workout, it sounds pretty intense. I'm putting quotes up, but again, I don't know what those, like, if he's doing 70 rep sets, we can definitely unpack that a little bit. I'll do leg curls or hamstring curls before a big knee flexion training session, like squats or leg presses or whatever. It's kind of it's popular these days. People talk about it because it's like you warm up the hamstrings, you get good blood flow to the back of the knee. And so then when you squat and your hamstrings are kind of pumped, makes your knees feel better so that you can have a more productive squat session. So I like that.
Yeah.
Generally just getting more blood flow to the quads and the hamstrings and getting some knee extension, knee flexion. Again, warms up the whole leg before going and doing really heavy squats and heavy leg presses. That's where he's getting the vast majority of his strength gains from, because those rep counts and those rep ranges make sense for peak strength and some hypertrophy. Drop sets on the leg press, great. It's like, definitely glad that he's doing a drop set on the leg press and not on the back squat. I would say doing, a drop set is going to failure, essentially stripping weight, doing more reps to failure, stripping weight, doing more reps to failure. You do not really want to do that in an exercise that has a higher degree of difficulty, like a back squat. For most people, especially a high performance athlete getting paid a lot, it just would be more risk than is worth. It's like, if you're, I would do I do a drop set in the back squat, and whatever. I don't have to wake up tomorrow and go play, a football game. But even still, like, I'm not taking that risk. I'd rather do it on a machine where if I fail, I'm safe. But back to the 70 rep sets, that's just not a rep range that is specific to strength and hypertrophy. Once really, if he's doing 70 reps of both exercises and then repeating that a bunch of times, it seems kind of crazy. Like, that's just a super high amount of volume, which is probably means that he's not lifting very heavy weights. If he's focusing on good controlled reps and good range of motion, then this is more just like a muscle endurance pre-fatigue type of thing before he squats.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know whether that was a misprint or if that's just like, hey, we're going to highlight this fact because
we're just going to
it looks
make
intense.
it sensational. Right.
It makes it look crazy. I don't think I would ever program a 70 rep set of anything.
Says 70, yes, really, reps.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it just doesn't quite make a lot of sense. You're really just doing like muscle endurance and training at that point. It's not really moving the needle on your strength and your power. Yeah. Which is he's a power athlete. So I can't really think of like a place where that makes a lot of sense for sport application or for just general strength and hypertrophy training.
Yeah. So we don't need to do 70.
No. If you did like 70 total, like, a set of 20 and then 3 sets of 15 after, like,
reasonable.
That's just higher end, rep ranges for hypertrophy and strength.
I was doing sets of 40 of the hip flexion on the 4-way hip on Saturday. Yeah. It was like 20.20. Yeah. That was a lot. Took a while. Okay. Last one. Men's Health always has like, your product page, your product recommendations. This one is all about smelling fresh.
Nice.
Best bar soaps, toothpastes, deodorant, cologne. So what is your top pick for smelling fresh?
My top pick?
Your top pick.
Oh man. I use Speed Stick deodorant because I think it's like a smell I grew up with using. It's probably not the healthiest thing to be putting on my body. I'm sure it's not. Someone can come at me for that. I probably should be using a natural deodorant.
No, please don't.
Okay, I use it. It doesn't, it actually does the job of keeping any BO at bay.
But, I can attest.
And I just shower daily and
keep it simple.
I have been wanting to get a fragrance, but I just haven't.
Let me know if you want a recommendation.
You're the person, but haven't done that. So
yes.
I keep it pretty simple there.
Okay. Right on. Love it.
Sweet. All right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
Hope you guys got something from that. If you have any follow-up questions, you know where to find us. Shoot us a DM over at Marcus Philly or at Satya Khan on Instagram.
Yeah.
See you next time.
time.